He wakes before dawn. The harbor town is still. Boats rest like sleeping animals. The lighthouse stands on the cliff, cold and white against the gray sea. He pulls his sleeve down to hide the mark on his wrist. It is a thin spiral with small lines like scales. It has been there since he was a child. It burns when storms come. Today, the air tastes like metal. Seabirds cry and then go quiet. He feels the mark grow warm. He looks at the lighthouse and knows he must go. He walks past the empty stalls and closed shops. Nets hang like cobwebs. A cat watches him from a barrel. He climbs the stone steps to the lighthouse door. The sky's purple. The wind moves in slow waves. He pushes the door. It answers with a soft groan. Inside it smells like salt and old oil. Dust dances in the thin light. He runs his fingers along the wall. He counts each stair without thinking. He has climbed these steps 1,000 times. But today he does not go up. He goes down. There is a narrow service hall below the main room. Few people know it. The old keeper once told him, "Mind the lower steps, boy. The cliff is hollow." He finds the iron latch under a loose plank. He pulls. A stiff panel lifts. Cold air rises from the dark. He takes out a small flashlight from his pocket. He always carries one. The beam cuts the shadows. The passage is tight. The stone walls are wet and smooth as glass. Water drips from a crack and ticks like a clock. He moves slowly, careful with each step. The mark on his wrist burns hotter now. He stops and unwraps his sleeve. The spiral glows a faint red. The light from his wrist touches the wall. He sees shapes on the stone, thin lines, circles, and symbols. They are not paint. They are cut into the rock. The cuts shine back at him in the same red glow as his mark. He lifts his hand. The glow on the wall brightens, as if answering him. The lines form a pattern. It is the same spiral as his mark, but larger, like a map. A soft footfall behind him. He turns. The flashlight shows a thin woman in a dark shawl. It is Ida, the old lighthouse keeper. Her eyes are sharp. Her voice is dry as paper. "You came," she says. He lowers the light so it does not dazzle her. "You sent the note?" She nods. "I kept the light for 40 years. I knew one day the mark would call you." He shows his wrist. "What does it mean?" Ada steps closer to the wall. She traces the spiral with her finger but does not touch the glowing cuts. It means the Wyrm chose. It means the blood remembers. It does not matter if the world forgot. He wants to ask more. But a low hum fills the passage. It is not the sea. It is not the wind. It has a pattern like a machine. Ida goes still. She presses a finger to her lips and points up. He kills the flashlight. In the near dark, the red glow from his mark is enough to see. Footsteps echo from the lighthouse above. Heavy. Many. A door slams. Metal clicks. Voices speak in cold, flat tones. Scanner active. Anomaly near the foundation. Seal the perimeter. Ada whispers, "Hunters!" The word tastes bitter. They study what they fear. They break what they study. He breathes slowly. He counts to 5, then again. He feels his heart calm. He looks at the wall and thinks. If the hunters have a scanner, they will find heat and motion. The glow of his mark will betray him. He wraps his wrist in a damp cloth from a crack in the stone. The cloth steams for a moment, then settles. The glow dims. "Clever," Ida says. "Human clever." She smiles, quick and proud. The hum grows louder. A needle of blue light lances down from a vent high in the ceiling. It sweeps the passage like a slow sword. He pulls Ada behind a curve in the wall. They wait. The beam passes. It does not find them. He turns back to the spiral. There is a small circle at the center. It looks like a lock. He holds his breath and places his palm over it. The stone is cold, then warm, then hot. The spiral on his wrist pulses. The wall answers. A shiver runs through the passage. The floor vibrates. Fine dust falls like soft rain. Ada grabs his arm. "Whatever you do," she says, "you cannot stop now." He presses harder. The spiral lines flare. The cuts widen into hairline cracks. The stone thins like ice over deep water. Light spills from behind the rock, gold and red, like a sunset trapped inside the cliff. Above them, boots hit the stairs. "Signal spike," a hunter says. "It's here." He leans in. The wall is almost clear. He sees something on the other side. At first he thinks it is a reflection. Then it blinks. A vast golden eye opens in the rock. It looks straight at him. The pupil narrows to a blade. The eye sees him, knows him. and does not look away. The hunters reach the door to the passage. The eye moves closer to the thinning stone. He does not run. He presses his hand to the mark and waits for the wall to break. Dust floats in the red light. The wall is thin like glass. The golden eye watches him through the cracks. He hears boots above, cold men. Hard voices, hunters. He does not move. He breathes slow. He counts to 5. Then a sound enters his head. It is not a noise. It is a thought. Old, deep, calm like a mountain. Air. He freezes. The word is inside him, not outside. It feels like warm smoke. It curls behind his eyes. Air. Blood remembers. He looks at Ida. She cannot hear it. She only hears boots and metal. Her hand shakes a little. She points to the wall. "Finish it," she whispers. He places his palm on the small circle again. Heat rises into his skin. The mark on his wrist beats like a second heart. The voice fills him. "Do not fear. I am sealed. I am weak. But my sight reaches you." He thinks a question, simple and sharp. "Who are you?" The answer comes like a slow bell. "Wyrm." The wall flashes. The cracks widen. He sees a dark shape behind the thin stone. Scales like iron night. The golden eye narrows. "You are Heir," the voice says. "You were chosen before you were born." The mark called me. The mark called them. Them. The hunters. The floor trembles. A vent above the passage spits cold air. A blue scan beam bites the far wall, then sweeps toward them. He pulls Eda behind the bend again. The beam passes an inch from his face. His damp cloth sizzles, then cools. "Not safe here," Ida whispers. "We need a way out." He nods. He thinks fast. The passage has one way up and one way down. Up means hunters. Down means sea. He chooses the sea, but the wall still stands like thin glass. He will not leave without an answer. "Why me?" he thinks. "Say it fast." The voice is a tide now, strong and sure. You carry memory. You carry nerve. You carry the choice to protect what is not yourself. Hunters carry fear. They polish it and call it science. The beam returns, slower this time. It pauses at the crack in the wall. The blue light shivers. A voice above says, "Reading anomaly. Heat spike. Prepare breach charge." Ida's mouth tightens. "We have seconds." He presses both hands to the circle. The mark burns white. Pain bites his bones. He does not pull back. "Do not break the whole seal," the Wyrm warns. "Only the key. If the whole seal breaks now, the cliff will fall, and I will drown again." Again. The word hits him. Drown. How many times? "Where is the key?" he thinks. 3 small cuts around your palm. They wake only to your blood. He feels with his skin, not his eyes. Yes. 3 thin notches. He pushes his fingers into them. The stone drinks a drop of his blood. The wall hums like a hive. Click. The center circle loosens. A small ring of obsidian turns. A shard slides out, black and wet with light. The air changes. Salt grows stronger. "Far water moves." "Good," the voice says. The door below opens. "Take the path to the sea." He turns to Ada. "There is a path. Flooded." She nods once. "I know it." She reaches into her shawl and pulls a small canvas bag. Inside, a coil of thin rope, 2 metal hooks, a single flare, and a tiny battery with wires. "For later," she says. "You think?" "I trust." The hunters hit the lower door. A heavy crash. Hinges scream. The beam swings back. He grabs Ida's wrist. They run down the passage. The floor slopes. A cold breath rises from below. The red glow fades as they leave the seal. The dark grows thicker. Behind them, a metal voice barks. "Target moving!" "Deploy drones." He kills his flashlight. He knows the next steps by memory from old games in these tunnels. Left at the drip. Right at the smooth wall. Down the slick stairs. Count 12. They reach a grated gate. Rust. Locked. He plants his feet and pulls with both hands. It will not give. Footsteps close in. The beam sharpens. He looks at the hinges. Old. Thin. He wraps the rope through the grate and around a rock spur. He ties a loop fast. He passes the rope to Ada. "Hold and lean." She does. He yanks the other end like a lever. The hinge screams. Metal tears free. The grate swings open enough to slip through. A small drone darts into the passage like a metal wasp. Its eye glows white. It sees the heat in his face. He grabs the canvas bag, battery, 2 wires. He strips a wire with his teeth. He wraps both ends around the metal grate. He flicks the flare and kisses it to the wire. Sparks jump. The drone flies into the grate and touches the live metal. Snap. Pop. Dark. The drone falls, smoking. "Go," he says. They slide through the gap. Cold air hits their lungs. The space opens into a low cave. Waves slap stone ahead. Moonlight pours in through a jagged mouth where the cliff meets the sea. Ida coughs. "You did well." He turns back. Blue light creeps along the tunnel like a slow blade. More drones, more boots. He looks at the cave mouth. The sea is rough, but not wild. If they time it with the waves, they can ride the pull and not smash the rocks. He ties the rope around Ida's waist. He ties the other end around his own. "On my count," he says. "Breathe when I say." "Not before," she nods. "No fear. Only trust." "Air," the voice says, soft in his skull. "Listen once more. When the seal breaks later, law will bind us. You must speak one word, ashore. That will call kinship. You will carry a thing that is not a thing." "What thing?" He thinks, sharp. The answer is a picture, not a word. A smooth, dark shape held to a heart. Warm, fragile. Not an egg, but also an egg. A wave surges into the cave and sucks out again. He feels the rhythm. He raises his hand. 3, 2, 1. Now. They jump. The sea grabs them with cold fingers. The rope pulls tight, then slack. He kicks, counts, aims for the pale slit of moonlight between rocks. He times the next swell and lets it lift them forward. Behind them, a shout. "Target in water!" A second drone darts out fast, but the wave turns it. It breaks against the cave wall like glass. They burst into open night. The lighthouse stands above, red light still bleeding from the lens. Sirens wail on the cliff. Ada gasps and laughs at the same time. They swim for the shadow of a broken pier. He hauls her onto a low step and climbs after her. The rope drips like a dead snake. On the cliff path, a figure waits. Black coat, calm smile. The hunter captain. She lifts a small metal case and taps it with a finger. "Looking for this?" she calls down. Her voice is friendly, like a teacher. "You dropped it." Ida stiffens. "Don't answer," she whispers. He looks at the case. He knows that shape from the picture in his head. Smooth, dark, warm, not an egg, but also an egg. The captain opens the case. It is empty. Her smile does not fade. "It grows colder. Interesting," she says. "So where did you hide it?" "Air." He feels the mark burn like dawn. Above, the red light of the lens swings over the sea and paints the water the color of blood. Rain starts like needles. The red beam from the lighthouse swings over the water and paints the waves. He and Ida crouch by the broken pier. Above them, the hunter captain holds the empty case and smiles like she has all night to play. "Where did you hide it?" "Air?" she asks. He says nothing. He feels the mark burn under his wet sleeve. The pain is sharp but steady like a drum. Inside his head, the deep voice stirs again. "Do not answer her. Choose me or choose them." He scans the scene. 2 drones hover near the cliff path, eyes white and hungry. 3 hunters step into view behind the captain, shock nets folded on their backs. The tide climbs the rocks, inch by inch. Ida squeezes his arm. "Down," she whispers. "There's a culvert under the pier. Old storm pipe. It goes back under the cliff." The captain tilts her head, like she hears the whisper on the wind. "Run if you like," she says. The pipe is trapped. He believes her. He also believes the trap can be beaten. He pulls Ida lower. The waves slap the stone steps. Foam hisses around their boots. He looks at the empty case in the captain's hand, and then at the lighthouse lens. The red light is wrong, too warm, like blood through glass. He understands. The thing that is not a thing is not with the captain. It is not in his pocket. It is not in Ida's bag. It is already in the light. The voice in his head is calm and vast. "You learn quickly. Good. But learning will not save you without oath." "Oath?" he thinks. "Now? With hunters here?" "Now," the Wyrm says. "Kinship is law. Speak the word. Pay the price." "What price?" He thinks, tight and fast. "You carry my heart as light. If it breaks, I end. If I end, you end. You must not betray me. I must not lie to you." He feels the weight of that. Not metal on his back, but a line across his whole life. A line he will not step over. He looks at Ada, Her eyes are fierce. "Choose," she says. "Choose with your full weight." "Not half." The captain raises her hand. The drones dip, ready to strike. "Last ask," she calls, friendly voice, dead eyes. "Give me the object. Walk away alive. I will even patch your little pier." He stands. For a moment, he is only a dark shape against the wet stone. Rain runs off his chin. He lifts his head to the red light. He speaks the word the Wyrm gave him. Ashore. It is a soft word. It still hits the air like iron on iron. The lighthouse lens answers with a low bell note. The red beam slows and thickens like smoke pressed into glass. The mark on his wrist flares white. Lines spread up his forearm, thin, pale scales under the skin like frost patterns. He does not fall. He does not scream. He holds the pain steady like a rope. The world changes. He hears more, not louder but wider. The wind has layers. The sea has a slow voice. The drones whine in a key he can taste. The captain's calm is false. He hears the tightness under it, the small tremble she hides in her throat. "Kinship bound," the Wyrm says inside him, and the words feel like a seal pressed into wax. "Take the light, carry it. I will give truth for truth. I will not take your will." A ray from the lens bends, slides down the rain like a red thread, and touches his palm. It does not burn. It settles. It becomes a weight that is not a weight. He knows where it is without looking, inside the spiral. Safe for now, if he keeps his promise. The captain's smile thins. Her drones rear back. "So," she says, "you chose the ghost in the rock." He moves first. He grabs Ida's hand and jumps from the step into the water, not out to sea, but sideways into the black mouth of the storm pipe. The pipe is narrow, brick-slick, and full of cold breath. The tide rushes in, then sucks back. He times it. "Now hold," he says. They cling to a rust bar as the wave tries to pull them out again. He waits for the second push. He sees the trap. Wires strung like cobwebs near the throat of the pipe, tiny spikes on the bricks. He knows the design. Electric when wet, smart, cruel. He raises the canvas bag. The little battery is dead from the drone trick. Good. He needs dead metal. He knots the rope around the battery and swings it once, twice, then throws it into the web of wires. The rope catches on a spike. The glassy web touches the battery and collapses like a net around a stone. The next wave hits. The trap shorts into itself, harmless. They slide deeper. His shoulder scrapes brick. Ida mutters a prayer with no words. Water surges, then eases. He follows the old maintenance marks he once saw as a kid. A triangle scratched at a corner. A chipped brick like a tooth. The pipe turns. It slopes up. Air grows sweeter. Behind them, a drone slams into the entrance and sparks out. He hears the captain's boots on the stones above the pipe mouth. He hears her speak into a throat mic. Calm again. Seal the outer drain. Flood the inner branch. Heard them. He smiles in the dark. He is already past the branch she thinks he took. The pipe opens into a square shaft with a ladder of iron pegs. He pushes Ada up first. Her wet hands grip, steady and sure. He counts pegs, listens for echoes, checks the faint tug of the red weight in his palm. It points like a compass back to the lens, back to the heart he now carries as light. They climb into a low room with a rust door and a broken sign. Maintenance. He bars the door with a pipe. He and Ada breathe, quiet and long. The Wyrm speaks softer now. Heir, listen. Kinship gives you 3 gifts: sight, heat, and word. Sight, you read lines of force. Heat, you hold a small fire without burning. Word, 1 true sound. Use each with care. He tests the sight. He looks at the floor and sees faint, bright threads where pressure will crack the tile. He looks at the wall and sees a thin, dark seam where a hidden door sits behind the plaster. He looks at the barred door and sees a heavier thread. The place the hunters will hit next. Show me the way back to you, he thinks. Not to die. To win. Down to the lens room, the Wyrm answers. But first the archive keeps a beacon under the stairs. Break it. If it calls, more hunters come by sky. Etta watches his face. What does it say? He tells her, simple and plain. She nods. Then we break the beacon. The barred door thumps. Metal groans. Hunters work in silence. They are machines that breathe. He feels no panic. He feels focus, sharp as glass. He lifts the small flare, the last spark in the bag, and holds it to his chest. Heat gift. The flame settles without burning, a tiny star behind his ribs. He can carry it for a short time. Enough. He crouches by the hidden seam in the wall. He presses the mark to the plaster. The white lines on his arm shine. The seam gives. A narrow service crawl opens, dusty and tight, leading toward the lighthouse stairs. Footsteps halt outside. The bar jumps. The door splits. He looks at Ida. Now, he says. They slide into the crawl as the door bursts. A hunter's gloved hand reaches through the dust and grabs his ankle. He twists, fast and hard, and kicks the seam, dropping old bricks between them like teeth. The hand lets go. The crawl is dark, tight, and full of grit. He moves on elbows, pulling Ada behind him, following the faint tug of the red light and the taste of the Wyrm's voice. Behind them, the captain laughs once, low and bright like a bell before a war. "Run!" she says through the crack. "I like a longer hunt." He does not answer. He crawls toward the heart of the light. The crawl space breathes dust. He moves on elbows. Ada follows, silent and steady. Behind them, hunters tear the room like wolves. "Metal screams!" Boots stamp. The captain gives no orders now. She only hums a small tune, sweet and cold. He knows that tune. He does not know why. The crawl tilts up. A grate shows a slice of stairs. He listens. No footsteps. Only the old heartbeat of the lighthouse, wind in the ribs, sea under the floor. He pushes the grate. It gives. They slide out under the stair, hidden in shadow. Above, the lens room glows red like a sleeping ember. Below, a locked door waits under the steps. Ida touches the lock. "Beacon," she whispers. He sees it with his new sight. Threads of force, thin as hair, run from the lock into the wall, then up and out to the sky. A call line. If it sings, more hunters will come. Not vans, not boats. Something worse. He kneels. He does not smash the lock. He follows the threads with 2 fingers. He finds the main line where all hairlines braid. He lays his palm there. The mark warms. Small heat, he thinks. The tiny star behind his ribs answers. It flows down his arm into his hand. The lock ticks. Solder softens. A circuit tastes fire and forgets its path. Click. The lock opens. Inside, a black device sits like an egg without life. He sees the brand, a small ash glyph burned into the shell. Ada spits on the floor. Archive. He lifts the device and turns it. He spots 4 screws, 1 missing, and a thin seam. He remembers junk radios. He remembers cutting old plastic with fishing line. He pulls rope from the bag. He loops the line around the seam and saws, slow and even. Plastic parts whisper. The shell cracks in a clean mouth. Inside is a coil and a crystal like gray ice. Ida holds the canvas bag open. He drops the coil in. He pockets the crystal. He looks up the stairs. The captain's tune moves closer. He shuts the beacon door and slides back into shadow. The tune stops. A hunter steps into view, followed by 2 more. Their visors shine dull. They carry short rods with forked heads. Shock forks. Not nets, close weapons. They search for a fight. He feels the floor, reads the threads. The second stair from the bottom is weak. The 5th stair from the landing is cracked. He gives Ada a look. She nods once. He moves like a shadow. He puts weight on the weak stair and then jumps to the safe one. The weak stair snaps and claps like hands. Hunters look up. He is already past the break. He runs. Ida runs. Hunters follow fast and silent. He cuts left around the landing post. A fork stabs the air. He hears the metal teeth crackle. He tastes the current like bitter candy. He throws the coil-filled canvas bag back down the stairs. A fork bites the bag by accident. Coil meets shock. The fork overloads with a pop. A hunter drops, arms numb, legs confused. The second hunter leaps over the first. The third vaults the rail. He slams the lens room door behind him. He bars it with a wheel lock. The red light washes over him. It feels warm and near, like a fire that knows his name. Ida limps in and shuts the inner hatch. Her breath shakes, but only once. "We bought a minute," she says. The lens room is a glass cage. The red heart light turns slow. Every pane holds rain like coins. In the center, the great lens sits on its steel crown, shining its blood beam through the storm. He feels the weight in his palm, The knot thing, the heart as light. It pulls toward the lens, not to leave him, but to be close, like a child reaching for a window. The Wyrm's voice comes soft and low. You stand at the memory window. Listen now. Long ago we made pacts with humans. We guarded fault lines. They guarded truth. When they forgot, the earth shook harder. The red beam thickens. Pictures drift inside it, slow and thin like smoke drawings. A woman with a spiral mark on her neck, standing on a cliff of black glass. A boy throwing rocks at men with iron nets, while an old dragon sleeps behind him. A map of the sea floor, lines of fire under mountain ribs, each line crowned with a sleeping eye. Ida watches, face hard. Heirs, she says. Yes, the voice answers inside him. Heirs, some brave, some cruel. Some failed us. Many were erased. There is another picture. It stings. A young leader in a gray coat, her hair in a tight knot, her wrist bare, her eyes bright with belief. She stands before a sealed Wyrm and says, "No." The seal cracks wrong. The sea runs black. He knows that face. It is the captain's face, years younger. It is a mirror without the smile. He feels a sour taste in his mouth. He understands now she was once near the oath and turned away. Now she hunts oaths. They call themselves the Ash Archive, the Wyrm says. They burned our names and kept our bones. They sing a false song to pull us from stone. They measure fear like salt. The barred door shakes. A fork bites metal. Sparks hiss. Another fork hits the hinge. The lock smokes. The captain hums the sweet tune. It is not a song. It is a code to keep breath even. He looks at the lens base. A small hatch hides a maintenance tunnel. He sees the seam with his sight. He crouches, presses his mark, and it opens like a mouth. "Down," he says. Fast, Ida slides in first. He follows. The tunnel is tight and warm, lined with wires and old brass. He hears the bell of the lens above, slow and steady. He crawls until he drops into a lower room, a ring with windows like eyes. Through one window he sees the harbor. Something is wrong with the water. A perfect circle forms in the bay, smooth as a mirror. Rain hits it and bounces like beads. Outside the circle, the sea churns. Inside, it is dead calm. A black bubble grows at the center. He knows nothing that makes water do that. The Wyrm speaks before he can ask. "Archive bread," the voice says, each word a small wound. A Wyrmling made in a lab. Cut from song. Hungry without sense. He looks down the slope of the town. Hunters spread like ants. Some aim rods at the circle. Some roll cases into position. One case opens like a flower. A dish rises, steel and sharp. It points at the circle and sings a thin, bright note. Too bright, too thin. The black bubble bursts. A small dragon, no older than a wolf, but all blade and bone, erupts into the rain. Its scales are wrong. They shine like broken glass. Its eyes flicker white, then black, then white again like a light with bad wires. It cannot hold a shape. Its scream is a whistle drilled through teeth. People on the piers drop to their knees and cover their ears. The dish sings louder. The Wyrmling jerks toward the lens like a moth to a flame that hurts. He feels the heart light in his palm pull hard. The Wyrmling smells it. It wants it. Not for kinship, to feed. Ida grabs his shoulder. "We can't let it reach the lens," she says. "If it eats the heart light, the Wyrm ends," he says. "I end. Heir," the voice says. "Hear me, you must not kill it if you can help it. It is a child without song. Save it, and you save what the archive stole. Fail, and the archive learns to harvest us," he swallows. Human fear wants a clean answer. Human heart offers a harder one. He looks around the ring room. Old tools, old ropes, a big glass pane cracked in a spider web, a pulley for lens service. Through the crack, he sees the dish and the captain below, calm and neat, her coat untouched by rain. She lifts a hand. The dish shifts. The Wyrmling turns, lines up on the lens. On him, he acts. He grabs a coil of thick rope and snaps the dry end through his hands. He ties a fast anchor to the heavy pulley. He throws the free end over a service spar above the window. "Ida," he says. "Crank when I yell hard." She nods, teeth bared in a fierce smile. "Good," she says. "Make me young." He smashes the crack with a wrench. Glass rings like a bell. Rain rushes in as the pane falls. Cold air hits his face. The red light paints his skin. The Wyrmling whips its head to the sound. Its eyes click bright. It sees him. He steps onto the sill. The drop is high. The sea claw is far below. The rope waits in his hand like a living thing. The lens hums behind him. The heart light in his palm wakes and warms. Word gift, the worm says. One true sound. Use the smallest part. Not full. You are flesh. He breathes in and finds the sound the worm showed him in the dark. One low tone that bends heat and air. It sits in his chest like a coal. He does not speak it with his mouth. He hums it through bone. The air in front of the window shivers. Rain hangs for a heartbeat, then falls sideways. The dish's thin song wobbles off key for a blink. The Wyrmling flinches. It is enough. He leaps. The rope hisses through his hands. He swings out into the night, a dark line in a red rain. The Wyrmling snaps fast as a knife. He twists mid-air and catches its neck with the rope. The rough coil bites scaled glass. He locks his arm and pulls hard. The Wyrmling jerks. Its claws rake his coat and cut fabric, not skin. The rope burns his palm. He feels the heart light grow hotter, angry. Now, he yells. Ida cranks the pulley with all her weight. The rope tightens like a jaw. The Wyrmling thrashes and pulls for the lens. He shifts his hips, swings with it, and plants his feet on the window frame as it tries to shoot past. He sees the captain look up. For the first time, her smile falters. Her eyes show something human. Shock. The dish aims at him now. Hold, Ada shouts. He has one breath to choose. Kill the dish. Save the town. Or save the Wyrmling. Or save the Heartlight. He cannot hold all three. He looks at the dish. He looks at the small, broken dragon that was made without a song. He hears the worm's voice, strong again. Choose like a human, not like a hunter. He bares his teeth at the storm. He makes his choice. He makes his choice. He does not aim the rope to break the Wyrmling's neck. He loosens the pull just enough for breath. He swings his weight and plants his boots on the window frame. The small dragon thrashes in the rain, jaws snapping, eyes flashing white, black, white. It is all hunger and pain. Ida the dish, he shouts. She knows. She grabs the lens wheel and cranks hard. The great red beam slows, then tilts a hair. The light slides off the room like liquid glass and pours through the broken window out across the night. The dish tracks him. Its thin song rises, sharp enough to sting his teeth. He tastes metal. He hums a small piece of the true sound, the one the worm gave him. Not full, just a thread. The air warps. The dish's note wobbles off key for a breath. Ida times the turn. The red beam sweeps the dish at that same breath. Glass and rain turn into a bright curtain. The dish takes the beam head on. It shrieks and spits smoke. Its note breaks into ugly noise. The captain does not move. She only lifts one hand steady. Hunters pivot their forks toward the window. Down, he says. He lets go of the window frame. The rope yanks him and the Wyrmling off the sill. They drop together. Wind claws his face. He bites the rope and keeps one hand free. The small dragon twists to bite. He opens his palm and touches its brow. Heat runs through him like a river. Not fire, memory. He sees a white room with wet walls. Lights buzz. A small egg sits in a glass cup. Men in clean coats tap screens. A woman hums a sweet tune. It is the captain's tune, softer, young. The egg shakes, cracks wrong, bleeds light, not blood. Someone says, too early. Someone says, we can force the song. The tune climbs, thin and sharp. The egg gasps without a mouth, then the memory turns. Another egg, dark and smooth, not in a cup. It is not an egg. It is a heart. It beats inside a lens of old glass. It is the worm's heart, held as light so it can live while the body heals. It waits for an heir's hand to carry it. He tears his palm away with a gasp. The Wyrmling's eyes flicker. For one breath, they settle on a steady gold. Then the dish squeals again, and the gold dies under the hurting note. Hold! Ada shouts from above. She slams the wheel. The red beam cuts the rain like a blade and burns the dish again. Metal wilts. The song falls into broken bits. Hunters drag the dish back. The captain lowers her hand. She is still as stone. Only her eyes move, bright and hard. He and the Wyrmling hit the lower rigging with a bone-deep jolt. Rope snaps around an iron post. Pain bites his shoulder. He clings and breathes. The small dragon hangs against the wall, legs kicking, rope tight around its neck but not choking now. It snaps once at his face. He does not flinch. "Easy," he says. "I know what you are." He presses his palm to its brow a second time. He is ready for the heat now. He thinks simple words inside, slow and clear. Not food. Not enemy. Kin if you stop. Kin if you listen. A tremor runs through the dragon. Its scream drops from a whistle to a hoarse rasp. The white-black flicker slows. Rain washes its face. Its chest heaves. It is a child made from sound it never heard. It does not know how to be forks hiss. A hunter climbs the rig. Another goes for the lens room door. The captain watches everything, voice calm and soft in her throat mic. "Regain control. Do not kill the specimen. Kill the air if needed." Etta pulls the lens to a new angle, faster now. The beam does not hit the dish this time. It slides past the captain, brushes the cliff, and paints the harbor in a long red sweep. People below look up and freeze. The light is not normal. It feels like a warning and a prayer. The Wyrm speaks in his head, strong but tired. "Air. The heart you hold is me, remade. If the beam dims, I fade. If it breaks, we fall together. Then we hide it," he thinks. "We bend the light. We mask the heat. You can," the voice says. "For a short time. Turn the lens to a false focus. Use angles. Make the heart look like storm glow." He scans the lens gear with his new sight. Threads of force wind like spider silk. He sees where to push, where to ease, where to wedge. He climbs fast and sure and rams a rust wedge under one spoke. He and Ada heave. The lens hisses and locks into a tight lean. The red beam now bends around the crown and splits into two thin beams, like horns hidden in rain. The heart light settles deeper in the glass, quiet and dim, like a coal under ash. The hunters at the door smash the lock. The bar flies. They surge in with forks alive. He jumps between the lens and the door. He feels the tiny star in his chest, the heat gift, and lets a little of it into the air. Forks hit the heat like insects hitting a candle flame. Their spark weakens, flickers, returns. "Not enough to stop them long. Back," Ada says. She grabs a fire can and sprays foam on the floor. Hunters slip. He swings the broken wrench and clips a visor. A fork bites his coat. He smells scorched wool. He staggers, then braces. He does not fall. A hunter slashes at Ada. He blocks with his arm. Pain shocks him like ice water. He growls through his teeth and shoves. The man hits the railing and sits down hard. The captain steps into the doorway. She does not carry a fork. She carries nothing. Rain beads on her black coat but does not seem to touch her. Her eyes find his. "You don't know what you carry," she says, voice almost kind. "The light will burn your life down. Give it to me. I will put it out. You can go home." He laughs once. It sounds tired and a little wild. "Home is what I'm saving." Her mouth does not change. Only her eyelids twitch, a small betrayal. "You think that was mercy on the rig?" she says. "That was a test. You passed? Good. Now pass the heart. Walk away." He sees her, really sees her. The young leader in the memory, the tune in the wet room, the cracked seal, the flood. She was almost an heir. She chose fear, then made a house for it and called it archive. He does not argue. He speaks to the Wyrmling instead. "Come, little one," he says, soft. "Stand behind me, no bite. No scream." He lets the rope slip a hand's width. The small dragon crawls, shaking toward his legs. He keeps his palm on its brow. The heart light in his hand beats a slow, steady rhythm. The Wyrmling matches it without understanding. "Fool," a hunter spits. "Human," Etta snaps back. The captain raises one finger. "Enough," she says. She whispers in a key he barely hears. It is her tune, but now it is teeth. The dish below, broken but not dead, tries to answer. Its bent mouth wails. The sea answers too. The red beam thickens. It does not stay red. It turns a deep, living color like fresh blood seen through water. The lighthouse glass groans. The pier ropes tremble as if someone pulls them from below. The harbor ring grows again. Smooth, perfect, wrong. Far out, where the trench cuts the sea into black, the water swells. A shape moves under the rain, vast and slow. The air grows heavy, like a held breath. Ida's voice drops to a whisper. "Do you feel that?" He feels it in bone, not skin. The Wyrm breathes once inside his mind, and the breath is pain and joy together. "Old one wakes," the Wyrm says. Not me. Another, half-ruined, half-starved, answering our light. The captain's eyes shine. For the first time, she looks alive. Yes, she says very soft. Come to me. The trench boils. A black fin the size of a house breaks the surface. Then a ribbed back. Then a head with iron scars down one side, old spears still stuck like bad teeth. One eye is gone. The other is a dull ember. It drags the sea with it like a cloak. People scream on the docks. Hunters freeze and lift their faces to the rain. The lens shakes on its crown. The heart light in his palm beats hard enough to hurt. He wraps one arm around the Wyrmling and braces himself and Ida against the lens base. The captain steps to the threshold of the room, coat open to the storm like a priestess before an altar. He feels the choice knife come back. Save the town. Save the heart. Save the broken child at his heel. He cannot do all with clean hands. The old one opens its mouth. It is not a roar. It is a deep, ruined bell that pushes the rain outward in rings. The lighthouse glass screams. The beam turns full blood. The night answers. The ruined bell rolls across the harbor. Windows jump. Bolts rattle in their holes. The great lens sings like a wine glass about to crack. He holds the Wyrmling tight with one arm and grips the lens base with the other. Ada braces beside him. The captain stands in the doorway, calm as a statue in rain. Below, the old one lifts its head. Scars cross its jaw like iron thorns. One eye is dark. The other burns a dull ember. It is half alive, half memory, and very angry. Hunters recover first. Form line! A sergeant shouts. Shock forks rise. Nets unfold. A new machine rolls out from a black case, a squat cannon with a round mouth and thick cables. When it powers on, the ground under the lighthouse hums. Ida's face tightens. Sonic cannon, she says. It breaks stone. It breaks bone! The captain lifts 2 fingers. Aim at the base, she says, soft but clear. Crack the crown, drop the lens. He looks at the lens, the red heart hidden by his trick. If the base cracks, the lens will fall and shatter. The heart light will die. He will die with it. The Wyrm will end. The town will drown under the old one's rage. Not today. Ada, he says. We need steam, smoke, noise, anything to blind and confuse. She nods once. Boiler. She points to a rust hatch on the ring floor. Old heat system. If it still breathes, they move. He shoves a crate to block the door. Hunters slam the other side. Forks bite wood. Sparks dance. The captain does not push. She waits, head tilted, listening to the sea. He tears the hatch open. Damp air rises. A small tank sleeps below, wrapped in old pipes. He drops into the crawl. Ada passes him the last fuel can and a coil of hose. He pours. He curses the slow glug. He strikes the flare with his thumb. The flame sputters, then catches. He lights the old burner and prays to anything that listens. The tank coughs, shakes, then sighs into life. Heat crawls into the pipes. Rust pops. Water inside hisses. He opens a valve with both hands. Up in the lens room, thin steam jets out of cracked joints. It rolls across the glass like white fog. He drags the hose up and points it at the doorway. Ida throws seawater from a bucket on hot parts to make thicker clouds. The doorway becomes a glowing mouth full of bright steam. Forks strike and vanish in the white. The cannon below fires. The lighthouse shakes. A low punch hits the stone. Dust falls in a slow gray rain. The lens crown groans. The heart light flutters in his palm like a bird. Hold me, the Wyrm says, voice thin but still there. A little more. He presses his palm to the lens. Heat gift moves from his chest into the glass, not to burn, but to knit. Tiny cracks relax. The heart light steadies. The old one roars again. The sound is deeper now, like rock grinding. The water climbs the sea wall. Boats slam against moorings. People run from the piers, slipping and clawing up steps. He hears their breaths, their cries. He hears fear. He also hears stubborn life. He opens the window hatch and shouts into the red rain. Buckets! Hoses! Sandbags! His voice comes out bigger than he expects. Kinship makes sound carry different. Use alley nets! Use sheets! Make smoke! Blind the hunters! Faces turn up. Fishermen, shopkeepers, teenagers in wet hoodies. They look small. They move fast. A hose line snakes from a fish plant to the square. People spray the air, making white smoke. Others drag old nets into narrow streets and hang them low to catch drones and forks. Someone lights a smoke pot from a festival box. Gray curls roll over the cannon crew. The captain watches the town shift like a smart animal. Her mouth makes a thin line. She speaks into her mic. Ignore civilians. Crown only! The cannon fires again! The floor jumps. The crown bolts scream. He cannot stop a cannon with steam and hope. Word, he thinks. Give me the word again. Small piece only, the Wyrm warns. You are meat and bone, he nods. He closes his eyes and finds the low note in his chest, the one that bent the dish. He does not shout it. He hums. The note crawls through the lens base, down into the lighthouse ribs and into the stone. The next shock pulse arrives and slips. It skids off the note like a wave hitting a sloped rock. The hit still hurts, but not enough to break. He opens his eyes. Blood runs from one nostril. His knees shake. He forces a smile he does not feel. The captain raises an eyebrow. For the first time, she looks curious. She taps her throat mic. New frequency, she says. We adjust. Ada squeezes his shoulder. How long can you do that? Not long, he says. Maybe 3 more. Then make them count. The Wyrmling shivers at his feet. It presses its head against his knee like a scared dog. He rests a hand on its skull. Stay, he says. It stays, the steam thins. He feeds more water. The room becomes a cloud. Shapes loom, strike, vanish. Hunters cough. A fork arcs at random and burns a rail. The cannon fires again, with a higher note. He hums back. Pain flashes through his teeth. The hit deflects, but his vision goes white for a blink. He stumbles. Ada steadies him. Below, the town fights smart. Men drag a welding tarp across the cannon eyes. 2 women kick the cannon's cables out of their track and jam a broom through a wheel. A kid in red shoes throws a handful of nuts and bolts into a drone rotor. It eats metal and dies. The captain walks through all of it like rain does not exist. When a fisherman lunges at her with a hook, she steps aside, gentle as a dancer, and the man slips on foam and lands in a soft pile of nets. She does not look down. She looks up, at the lens, at him. Enough games, she says. She pulls something small from her coat. A thin spear, no longer than her arm, with a black mouth at the tip. She points it at the floor. Ada sucks air. Sonic spear, she says. It will pierce anything. The captain points at the crown, not at him. She plans to break the lens without stepping inside. He acts first. He grabs a steel rim from a broken frame and throws it like a ring. The captain tilts her head. The rim misses her by a breath and clangs off the door. She does not blink. She lifts the spear. 3rd time, he says to himself. He hums the note a 3rd time. The spear fires with a sound too high to hear. He feels it anyway, like a knife behind the eyes. He says the word inside, pushes it through bone and glass and air. The spear's pulse wobbles and glances off the crown. It gouges a deep groove in the floor instead. Stone dust sprays his face. His legs fold. He drops to a knee. The world sways. Breathe, Ada says, hauling him up. Stand now. He stands. He tastes copper. The Wyrm's voice is far away now, like thunder on a distant hill. 1 more, it says. No more after. You will break. The captain's eyes narrow. You are loud for a human, she says. Let us make you quiet. She steps into the lens room. The steam parts around her like a curtain. Her spear hums in her hand. Her coat drips, but she seems dry. Close now, he sees a faint mark on her inner wrist, an old spiral burned to a scar. She burned it herself. She burned the chance to be kin. Why? He asks, no time for better words. She answers honestly. Because kinship makes slaves out of hearts. I refuse a leash. He shakes his head. It makes vows. Same rope, she says. She thrusts the spear, not at the lens this time, but at his chest. He moves without thinking. He throws the small word again. Not the whole note, just a spark. The spear's pulse veers an inch. It still hits him. Pain rips through his ribs like icy wire. He feels the tiny star in his chest flare and gutter. He staggers back into the lens base. The crown cracks. A thin line crawls across the metal like a black worm. Outside, the old one rises higher. The sea drops off its back like a wet cloak. The pier posts bend. Somewhere, a bell rings wildly, then dies. He pushes off the lens and charges the captain. No tricks, just human weight and anger. He slams into her shoulder. She is smaller than he thought, but strong like a cable. They hit the rail. The spear clatters. Ada kicks it away. It skids under a cabinet. The captain's hands are quick. She grabs his coat collar, twists and pulls. He hears fabric tear. He jams his forearm under hers and locks. For a heartbeat, they are two wet animals wrestling in a red fog. "Look down," she whispers. He does. The floor under them is cracking like ice. The cannon found the weak seam. "The lighthouse bones have one more break to give. Ada, out!" he shouts. Ada shoves the Wyrmling through the maintenance hatch and scrambles after it. "You too," he tries. The captain holds him like a hook. "We fall," she says, smile back, small and bright. "We meet the old one together." The floor lets go. Stone yawns. Air screams up the gap. He and the captain drop with shattered tiles and steam, past twisting pipes, past the broken window, into the red rain, toward the black mouth of the trench. He grabs for anything. His hand finds the rope tied to the window spar. It whips, it burns his palm. It slides away. The old one turns its ruined head toward them. The ember eye opens wider. The trench below is a throat without end. The worm's voice is a thread. "Air!" He reaches for the tiny star in his chest. It flickers. He and the captain fall into the red night. The sea opens like a door. He falls. Rain knives his face. The lighthouse is above him now, a broken crown in red fog. The trench opens below like a black mouth. The captain falls beside him, coat spread like a wing that cannot fly. He grabs for the rope again. It whips past his fingers. Empty air answers. The small star in his chest flickers. The heart light in his palm beats fast, scared and brave. "Air!" the worm whispers inside him, weak but clear. "Call me." He opens his mouth and says the oath word he learned at the pier. Not loud, honest. Ashore, the sea answers. A mountain moves under the water. It rises slow and sure, pushing the trench like a giant breath. Scales lift the rain. A great wing cuts the red light into strips. The true worm comes up from the deep, half-healed, half-ruined, and still beautiful. One horn is broken. Old scars cross its neck. Its good eye is gold and old and kind. The wing sweeps once. Wind catches him like big hands and slows his fall. He hits the worm's shoulder on his side. Pain jumps up his ribs, but bones hold. The captain slams into the same wing, rolls and almost slides into the sea. He grabs her wrist without thinking. "Let go," she hisses. He doesn't. "No," he says. The worm turns its head. Heat rolls out, not to burn, but to hold the rain away. The voice fills his mind and bones. "You kept your promise," it says. "You carried the heart. You chose mercy in the storm. Hunters on the pier aim forks and shake." The cannon crew tries to turn the mouth up toward the living mountain. The dish, bent and broken, squeals once like a dying bird. The town stares with wet faces and open mouths. The captain twists in his grip. Her eyes are bright and wild. "Do you see?" she whispers. "This is why we cage them." He looks at the town, at Ada at the window with the Wyrmling pressed to her side, at the old men with hoses, at the kid with red shoes holding a smoking drone rotor like a trophy. He looks at the worm's eye, no hunger there. Only memory. "Only choice, we guard each other," he says. "That is the rope." She flinches. For one breath, the old scar on her wrist seems to burn again. The old one in the bay, the half-starved dragon with the ember eye, lifts its head higher and screams. It is all pain. Its one eye finds the heart light in his palm and pulls toward it like a tide. "Help it," the worm says, grief and pride tied together in the words. "If you can." "How?" he thinks. His body shakes. His strength is thin as paper. Give it one drink, one true heat. Not to bind, to calm, he breathes in. He feels the star in his chest. He feels the rope of vow. He turns his palm and opens his hand to the rain. The heart light spills a thread of warm red into the air. It is small and soft. It smells like dawn on iron. It tastes like bread when you have not eaten. The old one leans into that small warmth as if into a hand. Its ember eye softens from angry to tired. It closes its mouth. The water around the piers stops jumping. People fall to their knees and cry into the rain. The captain stops fighting his grip. She looks up at the close gold eye and the gentle heat and the quiet town. She does not smile. She does not speak. Her breath shakes once, sharp and small. Hunters lift forks again. The captain lifts her hand without looking at them. "Stand down," she says. No one moves. She turns her head and her voice turns to iron. "Stand down." Forks lower. Nets droop. The cannon crew unplugs cables with slow hands. Ida leans from the window and throws a rope. He ties the captain to the line and then himself. The worm tilts its wing and lets the rope take weight. They climb to the broken window like fish pulled from a deep net. The Wyrmling presses its head into his hand, shaking. He holds it until the shaking slows. The lighthouse groans. The crown is cracked but holding. The lens still turns, quiet and sure, bent into the shape he made. The heartlight folds into the glass like a sleeping coal. The captain stands in the doorway, soaked and small and human. Her hands are empty. Her voice is tired. "End this," she says to him. "Either kill me or let me walk." He looks at her. He sees the girl in the memory room with the wrong song and the wet egg. He sees the woman who burned her mark and turned her fear into law. He sees the fighter who did not strike his back when she could have. He does not lift a hand. "No," he says. "We end nothing with killing. We start a new thing." Ida nods, teeth bare in a fierce smile. "Heir speaks," she says. "Listen." He steps to the window. The town is below, wet, tired, alive. The old one drifts in the bay like a dark island, breathing slow now. The worm holds close to the wall, a mountain that somehow fits in the rain. He feels the rope of vow pull in his chest. He speaks, and the lens carries his voice across the water and into every narrow street. "I am not a king," he says. "I am not a god. I am a man with a mark. I will use it to guard you. I will not rule you. I will not hide from you. The worm is not our master. The worm is our kin." His voice does not shake. It is simple and plain. "Hunters," he says, turning to the black vans and the narrow eyes behind the glass. "Leave our town. Take your broken dish, your cannon, and your fear. If you come back, you will find people with ropes and nets and plans. Not prey, people." Silence sits on the harbor like a bird. The captain looks at her crew. "Pack up," she says. "Do not touch the town. Do not touch the bay. They move." Some glare at him. Some glance away from the worm's eye, ashamed. One stands still, shakes, and then goes to help a fisherman lift a fallen post. No one stops him. The old one groans and sinks a little, like a ship settling after a storm. The worm lowers its head to the window. It fills the room with heat and deep breath. "Air," the voice says, "warmer now. Return my heart." He opens his hand, ready to give. The worm does not take. "Not yet," it says. "Keep it close. I heal in the deep. You guard in the air. Two halves make one watch." The heart light flickers in his palm and then moves back into the lens on its own, like a bird going home for the night. He feels it still like a second pulse under his skin. The kinship seal warms and cools again. The Wyrmling lifts its head and looks at the worm. Its eyes are almost gold now. It makes a small, unsure sound like a child humming. The worm hums back, low and kind. The small one presses against his leg, safe and dangerous and new. Ada wipes rain from her face with the back of her hand. "We will need plans," she says. "Maps, shifts, food, a place for the little one to learn. Letters to the world. Chapters on your channel," he says without thinking, and then laughs at himself. The laugh spills into the room like light. It does not hurt. He looks at the captain. "You can stay," he says, surprised to hear it and not sorry. "Not as a hunter. As a witness. Help fix what you broke." She looks out at the bay, at the old one bruised and breathing, at the worm waiting, at the people who are still here. Her jaw works. She nods once, small. "I can try," she says. "No more tune." "Good," Etta says. It was a bad tune. The sirens die. The last smoke drifts away. The town begins to move like a living body after a hit. Slow, careful, busy. People carry buckets, ropes, loaves, blankets. They set 2 lanterns on the sea wall, one red and one warm white. The wind turns soft. The rain thins to a mist. He leans on the lens and breathes. He feels empty and full at once. He touches the mark on his wrist. It is just skin again, but not really. It is a door he can open and close. He looks into the worm's eye. What now? He thinks, "Now we keep watch," the worm says. "Now we teach the small one to sing. Now we ask the earth to sleep easy." Now we tell the truth in daylight. The worm turns its vast head toward the town, then toward the distant black line where the trench begins, then back to him. Its voice fills the lens, the glass, the room, the bay. Tell them, it says through him, the words rising from his chest and out across the water. Humans are not prey. They are kin, his voice carries. People lift their faces. Hunters stop and listen. The old one in the bay lowers its head as if the word itself is a warm cloth. He closes his eyes and lets the red light wash his face. It is not blood now. It is home. Night folds around the lighthouse. The crown holds. The heart light hums. The sea breathes in slow time. In the lens room, 3 beings stand close, a man, a Wyrmling, and an old keeper with a grin like a knife. Down in the bay, a mountain slides back under the water without malice. On the cliff, a captain puts her spear away and looks at her empty hands like they are new. The storm passes. The watch begins.